logical step. How are we, Rob?
Good. You guys
Very well. Well, we're live, Rob. Have you come to join us?
hello.
How are we, Rob Angus, CEO? How are we, Rob?
Yeah, not too bad.
Recovered from yesterday?
Just about. Late one. That was a late one, early one yesterday.
What time did you get back? What time did you get home, Rob?
10:30, I think it was.
Very disappointing. Very disappointing.
Yeah, it was, mate. It was, unfortunately. Another one where we let it slip at the death, unfortunately.
Well, but here we are today, Rob. We were just saying about. I was in a filthy mood. I'll get your take on this, Rob, as CEO. I was in a filthy mood this morning, coming down the M4, filthy mood. But it took me all of 5 minutes walking into the county ground, taking a good old lungful of West Country air and seeing these beautiful stands and our beautiful pitch before magically my mood lifted. And I think there's something really interesting in that for the future of women's football in Swindon, Rob. I don't know whether that is a phenomenon that you've discussed at board level, but the idea of whether you win, whether you lose, but certainly if you lose, the opportunity to come and get it out of your system within 24 hours on the Swindon Town estate, that's got to be something that the club want to cash in on.
Yeah, look, I think it's it's great that we're back here today, and you say using this wonderful old stadium that obviously is now ours with the supporters and the club together, and seeing the women's team out there, takes the the frustration out of the result yesterday, and you can get into this and look, we're building the building blocks are getting there. We've got the foundations are getting there, and it will in time, turn to success on the pitch. Just frustration at that moment, but I think this is a real signal of intent on the women's side. That we are looking going forwards to invest in the women's team, having more games here. Obviously, Foundation Park have been brilliant as well, and we, as we look to take the men's team up the league, we want to do the same with the women's team.
Do you think it's realistic, Rob, for us to? So a lot of the conversations we've been having prior to you shooting up the stairs to talk to us, do you think it's realistic at some point, given how well our pitch holds up and what a great job Marcus does out there, that we could get to a stage where the games are alternating like that, where maybe one week it's the men, the next week's the women, or it's men on a Saturday, women on a Sunday? Do you think, is that a realistic prospect for Swindon, given I appreciate Foundation Park's just over the way here? What do you think would be the realistic sort of medium-term hope?
Yeah, I think that there's opportunities. I think the difficult time is from sort of November to around about March, because obviously in the winter the pitch doesn't repair as well. I learned
no matter who plays on there,
who plays on it. Yeah, so and Marcus, is trying to teach me and inform me about all the pitch science and the rest. And he, as you say, does a great job. But it is the difficult time in the winter months where the grass isn't going, the pitch isn't repairing. This time of year, and around about November, it works because the pitch is growing. It's a good pitch. Marcus is a really good groundsman, and it works. So I think we just got to make the most of that sort of period of the year. And then, in the harder months where it doesn't get the light on the pitch, it's not sort of growing as much. Use the likes of Foundation Park and other options. So it's getting that balance. But the other thing to say, and Marcus will said this, we've had lots of conversation like this. Doesn't provide the same sort of damage to the pitch as the men's playing on it. That's the women are lighter, slightly different areas of the ground as well that get impacted. So he's generally happier for a women's game here than a training session for Jodie Morris and the guys.
Yes, I can imagine. So we're another conversation, Rob, we were having, and again we talked about almost like Foundation Park as being like a separate entity. How they're really good with the club, but. Do you think there would be an option further down the line for more stands at Foundation Park, and maybe that gets turned into like a home, just like what they've got at Manchester City?
Yeah, we are talking to John and Shane at Foundation Park. They do a great job, and we work really closely together. They are looking at additional stands and funding for that as well. There are increasing requirements on the women's game though, in terms of stands and stuff like that. So we've got to look at that as well. So they're trying to raise the standards. The FA. And the women's game is saying that games have to be played in certain facilities with a certain amount of stands, covered stands, standing and stuff like that. So that's something we've got to look at going forwards with together with John and Shane at Foundation Park. And obviously the county ground covers it fine, but at the moment Foundation Park probably wouldn't without some investment.
And also, being realistic, whilst it's lovely that we can have games here at the county ground, there's still even at the moment, we've got to be realistic with the growth of the women's team here. there's an awful lot of space left in the stands, isn't there? And there's pluses and minuses to having sparsely populated stands, isn't there? I mean, even a sparsely populated Arkle still leaves, and I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of wasted resource here, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, we try and do this, in the most efficient way you can, but obviously putting games on at the county ground with the requirements that we have to follow, even for a game where we've just got the Arkle stand open, are quite a bit and cost quite a bit of money. So you have to balance that in. You're right. You try and do it as efficiently as you can, but you've got to put your safety officer, your stewards, your medical people here, and stuff like that, as you would do. If this was I guess the nearest equivalent would be like a Papa John's Trophy game. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You've got to have all that sort of same sort of standards there, really. So that sort of balance it through. And you also want this to be, you want to balance it so this is quite a special occasion. People come out for it, and you want the girls to feel like it's a special occasion as well. So we're definitely going to do more. It's having that balance, as I say, in the winter months. That is, from the pitch repairing and from that sort of side, which is something you've got to really think about.
And moving forward, Rob, like synergies with the men's team, obviously there are slight variations at the moment with the women's kits. There is an availability of women's kits and branded women's merchandise in the club shop and things like that. That's all stuff that the club are working on, is it, moving forward?
Yeah. So the kits next season will be aligned. The sponsors will be different. The sponsors will be different for the, obviously, because you want sponsors for the women's team. You want to generate revenue there, so we can invest more money into the women's team, which we will do quite significantly next year as we look to take them up the league along with the men's team. But there will be more alignment, and I think you do see a different. I think you're going to see a slightly different set of fans coming to the women's game to the men's game. It'd be great if we can get them all coming to both, and more people here. But it was great. I saw a message earlier about how it was great to see a number of games across the Women's National League today played at main stadiums like the County Ground and various others as well. So I think it really shows how important we feel the women's team is for the future of the football club. Alongside the men's side, obviously the academy. I think, as I said, I think we're getting the foundations in place, and the future's bright. Albeit, we're still all a bit sore about the result from yesterday.
Yeah, we're all sulking about that, Rob, and I'm doing my best to be tactful and say the right things here, Rob. But yes, no, it was a hard one to take yesterday. What can you tell us about yesterday, Rob, in terms of how it affects the rest of the season in your mind? Because obviously, I appreciate that it wouldn't have been a massively happy camp, Swindon per se, travelling back down from the northeast was. What if there was something you could say to Swindon fans between now and the end of the season? What would it be?
Well, I would say stay positive. We're getting the building blocks there in terms of, as I said, the stadium. The support from the Swindon fans has been amazing. There's 430 odd at Hartlepool yesterday, which was great. The season ticket sales we've had this year, the gates we've had is great. So stay with us, stick with us, because the more you stick with us, the more we can build for the future, and we will get it right. So we on the pitch this season hasn't been the season that we wanted or we expected, or a return for the investment that we put in, because we put in quite a lot more than we did last year. But if you build those foundations up and we continue with your support and sticking with us, we will get there. We will get there.
And I guess that's the thing, Rob. Is you're obviously, whilst you're CEO now, wasn't that long ago? You still sit in the stands for us now. So I don't mean to be overly disparaging. But you'll remember some of the frustrations of past sort of sticky periods that the club have been through. I guess it is that there is that element of there is a lot of what's the word for it? There's a lot of discord at the moment on social media around renewing of season tickets, and there's a lot of frustration and a lot of ultimatums being thrown around. But to your point, and just to develop on that again, if it's not to be this season. It's got, for us, everyone's saying, well, we've got to have a good season next season. We're going to get there a lot quicker if people are actually, again, just swallowing the bitter pill, and sticking by the club going into next season. Not a lot to be had folding your arms and saying, I'm going to be a walk-up punter next year if you're a season ticket holder.
Well, how would you feel if we go on and absolutely demolish the league next season? And if you don't have a season ticket, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
And imagine saying, I missed that season.
I don't like saying this in front of my CEO, but it would be the most Swindon-y of things, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
For us to take the frustration of the current period and start next season absolutely blitzing it and doing a Leyton Orient.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, but speaking of, I mean, we've still got some interesting fixtures, Rob, haven't we, at the county ground between now and the end of the season. And I think I was looking for positives off the back of yesterday's result, and certainly that Crawley game is looking spicier and spicier with every passing week. The return of Scott Lindsay, Ben Gladwin, and now, of course, Anthony Grant. Looking forward to that, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely, and there could well be quite a lot riding on that for them and for others in the league. I think, you know, when we left yesterday, the Hartlepool guys were obviously wishing us well on that game at the end of the season, because
I bet they were
critical for them. But I think you're right, Angus. In terms of, I know, you know, things haven't been where we want them to be this season on the pitch. It hasn't worked out as well as we had, as I said, despite the investment. But if everyone sticks with us, we'll get it right. You know, the foundations are coming. You know, people buying season tickets, buying tickets still coming. All helps, and that investment will be there next season. We'll learn and we'll get things right, and we will get out of this league. And that's very much the aim, that we've got to do that. But the only way we can do that, if we all stick together, all stick with the club that we support and we love through thick and thin. And you know, what I've learned as a Swindon fan over the years, you know, obviously we've had, you know, more lows than highs probably, but that makes the highs even better when they come.
Amen. Well, there you are, Chief Executive Rob Angus. Thank you, Rob. Cheers for popping up.
Great today.
No, you're very welcome, mate. You're very welcome. We'll have a prediction from you, actually, Rob, before you scuttle off. What do you think we're going to see today?
I think the Swindon women's team's going to win 2-1 today. I think it'll be quite a tight game. So I think we've played Southampton before. I think they've had a bit of a measure on us, but I think we'll win 2-1 today. I think the crowd here, we'll be around about 350 people here, which is decent. I think hopefully a few more will come listening to you guys. You know, and I think that will inspire the team. And you know, again, you know, there's not a chance of promotion for the women's team this season, but we're building for next season, and there will be investment, you know, in the women's side, and we'll look to go and get a double promotion next year, both for the men and the women.
I would think. I mean, I would say, Rob. I say this most Saturdays, but if you are listening to us at the moment, as lovely as it is that you're listening to us at the moment, get off your backsides, get down here. Doesn't look like rain at the moment. A little bit breezy, but the county ground pitch is looking beautiful. Players are out there on the pitch warming up. It's a proper sort of 6-pointer vibe as well, because this lot are 3 points ahead of us with a vastly superior goal difference. But we win this game today, we pull level on points, hopefully close the goal difference gap, of course, and then it's all to play for next week as well. So if pride is at stake today, you know, you want to finish as high up the league as you possibly can. And you can only beat the team that are directly above you, right, with just that 3-point gap. So should be a drama. So get off your backsides and get yourself down here. And Rob, have a word with that steward. He's wearing a blinking Arsenal rucksack. I'm not having it.
I'll have a word now.
So just remind him what happened in 1969 on League Cup final day.
Absolutely. Got to hand him a Swindon backpack.
We get all that shot now.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers, Rob.
Guys, see you later.